Hello, and welcome to Everyday English and Beyond. I'm Zara, and today we're diving into a fascinating topic. How do Japanese students memorize vast amounts of information and retain it effortlessly? If you've ever wondered how they manage to learn thousands of kanji characters, master complex subjects, and consistently achieve high academic success, you're in the right place. But this episode isn't just about Japanese students. It's about you. Whether you're trying to learn a new language, improve your study habits, or simply remember things better in daily life, today's episode will unlock powerful techniques that will transform the way you learn. So get comfortable, grab a notebook if you'd like, and let's begin this deep dive into the world of memory mastery. Understanding the Japanese learning mindset. Before we discuss the techniques, let's talk about mindset. In Japan, learning isn't just about passing tests. It's about discipline, respect for knowledge, and lifelong improvement. In Japanese culture, there is a philosophy called shushin, which means self-discipline and continuous self-improvement. This philosophy is deeply ingrained in students from a young age. They don't view studying as a temporary phase, but as an ongoing process. Another powerful concept is kaizen, meaning continuous improvement. This approach encourages making small but consistent progress every day. Rather than cramming before an exam, Japanese students believe in steady, gradual learning, which ultimately leads to mastery. And then there's gambaru, a word that roughly translates to doing your best or persevering through challenges. In the Japanese education system, students are encouraged to push through difficulties rather than give up when things get tough. Understanding this mindset is crucial because your attitude toward learning determines how well you retain information. If you approach studying with patience and consistency rather than stress and urgency, your ability to remember and apply knowledge will significantly improve. The science of memory. How does the brain retain information? To improve our memory, we first need to understand how it works. Memory consists of 3 stages. 1. Encoding. When you first learn something, your brain processes and stores it. 2. Storage. The information is kept in your brain, either in short-term or long-term memory. 3. Retrieval. When you need to recall the information, your brain accesses it. The problem most people face is forgetting. German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered the forgetting curve, which shows that we forget nearly 50% of new information within an hour unless we reinforce it. The key to remembering more is spaced repetition and active recall, both of which are heavily used by Japanese students. Techniques used by Japanese students. 1. Spaced repetition. The Leitner system. Instead of cramming, Japanese students review information at increasing intervals. If they learn something today, they review it. Tomorrow, in 3 days, in a week, in a month. By revisiting the material over time, they strengthen their memory retention. This technique is particularly effective for language learning, where vocabulary and kanji require constant reinforcement. 2. Active recall. The self-test method. Rather than just rereading, Japanese students force themselves to recall information. They quiz themselves or cover parts of their notes and try to remember what's missing. A common practice in Japanese schools is the rote memorization method, where students write kanji characters dozens or even hundreds of times until they become second nature. This repetitive practice builds deep neural connections. 3. Mnemonics and storytelling. Japanese students create mental associations to remember complex concepts. For example, to memorize kanji, they use stories. The kanji for forest, sen, looks like 3 trees together, which makes it easy to remember. Another example is onyomi, Chinese readings, versus kunyomi, native Japanese readings. Students often develop rhymes or picture associations to remember which pronunciation to use. The Pomodoro technique and the 5-minute rule. They study in focused bursts, usually 25 minutes of study, followed by a 5-minute break. They also follow the 5-minute rule, where they commit to studying for just 5 minutes, which often turns into a longer session once they start. Japanese students also practice zoning, a technique where they eliminate all distractions and enter deep focus mode. This helps them maximize the effectiveness of short study sessions. 5. Learning by teaching, the Feynman technique. One of the most effective ways to remember something is to teach it to someone else. Japanese students often study in groups and take turns explaining concepts to reinforce their understanding. Teachers in Japan encourage peer-to-peer learning, where students explain topics to each other rather than passively absorbing lectures. 6. Shadowing and repetition in language learning. A powerful method for improving memory in language learning is shadowing, a technique where students repeat words and sentences immediately after hearing them, mimicking native pronunciation and intonation. Applying these techniques to your learning. So, how can you apply these techniques to your own studies or daily life? Use spaced repetition. Create a study schedule that includes regular review sessions. Practice active recall. Test yourself rather than passively reading. Use mnemonics. Associate difficult information with vivid images or stories. Try the Pomodoro technique. Study in focused intervals to avoid burnout. Teach what you learn. Explaining concepts to others will solidify your understanding. Eliminate distractions. Follow the Japanese zoning technique to enter deep focus mode. Shadow and repeat. If learning a language, practice immediate repetition of what you hear. If you implement even one of these strategies, you'll start noticing a significant improvement in your memory and learning speed. Japanese students don't have superior brains. They have superior strategies. The good news is that these strategies are universal and can be applied by anyone, anywhere. Which technique are you going to try first? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dive discussions on learning, memory, and self-improvement. Keep learning, stay curious, and see you in the next episode.